is the year 2076, and Debbie and Carrie have returned to visit the town they spent their teen years in. And the church that was once Southern Baptist, then Unitarian Universalist, and now is Progressive Baptist instead.
I was actually shocked and disappointed that the congregation voted to embrace its past Baptist identity. Why would it abandon being a UU church?
That's what we are here to find out, Carrie. Here comes the minister.
Greetings. I am the Reverend Maggie Smith, minister of this church. Today's sermon is what is a true path? That's a question we all need to explore both as individuals and as a congregation.
So why would this church ever call itself Baptist again? Debbie and I remember all too well how corrupt this church was under Reverend Dave Owen.
I grew up in this church and remember seeing you two as teens, and I actually looked up to you, literally, as a little girl. But even while accepting the church becoming UU, I never stopped being Christian or even Baptist in my heart. And I vowed that even if this church became Baptist like I wanted, it would never become a place of hate and hypocrisy like it was before. This church had to spend time as a UU congregation to cleanse itself of corruption. But the Unitarian Universalist Association membership has served its purpose. We now have the best of both worlds. We are both Baptist and liberal.
I suppose that makes sense for you. But Carrie and I both know we could never be Christian like you. We are and always intend to be atheist. It's not just a matter of choice. It's our very nature.
And I totally respect that. Rejecting the atheist path would also imply rejecting your own mothers, and I know that is unthinkable to you. So I truly embrace you two as you are. Just as I hope you can embrace me just as I am.
Of course. Tolerance and mutual respect is more important than having the same identity.
I sometimes wish we could be like we were decades ago. Some of our best times were when we were teens and young adults.
You want us to be like the Simpsons, never growing up or growing old? Nobody would take us seriously, then. We as elders are just as inspirational now as we were back then. And the stories about us then are just as relevant now as they ever were. We are Debbie and Carrie. And so our testimony endures forever.
Hey, aren't you Debbie Smith and Carrie Sims? You are two of the most famous people that lived in this town. I'm Tanya Jones, the new owner.
Nice to meet you. This dinner was great. And this place has so many fond memories for me and Debbie.
Yes, I have heard many stories from the previous owner, Penny. She told me all about her grandmother, her uncle, your mother's and her husband.
Who was my brother? I miss him. I should have died first. I was the older sister.
I am so sorry. Me and my big mouth. For that, I will forego payment on your meals. Just don't cry anymore.
Carrie, the other day Richard, and Diana were doing an experiment with the space-time warp device on the USS Sandy, and I saw something that really disturbed us. I recorded it on my smartphone before I left the ship, because I thought maybe you should see it as well. Do you want to?
Of course. Show me.
Carrie, I'm sorry, but my chest is hurting. I think I'm suffering a heart attack.
Another one. This is the third one you've had this year. I'm terrified you may not survive this one.
I'm afraid you were right. This is the worst one yet. No. Please.
Now I have to call Richard to tell him what happened. But I refuse to be a burden on him and Diana. I swore never to take my life, but now I think I must.
Mother Carrie, I'm so sorry that I didn't get here in time to say goodbye to Mother Debbie.
There was nothing you could have done, Richard. We were in bed together when she's gone. The love of my life. I would have died for her. No. Please, anything but this.
Debbie was always the center of your life, just as Diana is the center of mine. I don't think I could go on without Diana. So,
What is this?
it's a small bottle of poison, fast-acting and extremely potent. If you drink that, you will die in less than a minute. You don't have to take that if you don't want to, but I felt you should have the option.
Thank you, my son. When I was 14, I attempted suicide. That attempt was a result of a mental breakdown. It shouldn't have happened. But this is different. I am an old widow now. You, Diana, and all the others have your own lives to live. And it would be easier for you to have my funeral and Debbie's at the same time, right?
Exactly. I will leave you now, Mother Carrie.
Goodbye, cruel world. Oh my God. And why are you showing me this?
Because while our deaths are inevitable, we can still do as much as we can to help ourselves and others live better and longer, so we can all do more good together. Remember when we prevented the murders of Charles Mackenzie and Michael Jefferson in the year 2029? Plus, there have been other instances in which alternate versions of me, Diana, and Richard have gone back in time to save the lives of people like my mother or Suzanne Hudson. With profound results. We now have a vaccine for the disease that killed James. I say let's go and give him that vaccine in the past. Even if we both must die, I want him to outlive us.
All right, we will try it and see what happens.
So Debbie and Carrie return to Dallas and then they, Richard, Diana, and Rob the robot board the USS Sandy with a sample of the vaccine to give the younger version of James.
So what year are we going to if we are saving my uncle?
We can go to a time when James was a teen. Old enough to understand what we want to do to him. Now everyone take your positions. We launch now. The time travel device is ready. Engaging. We have arrived in the year 2025. All systems are normal.
So now we just have to find James in this year and give him the vaccine.
Exactly. Let's teleport to the Smith home in the town.
Before we go down, we should change our outfits so we look different from our counterparts in this time, in case we run into them.
Hey, I don't care how weird it looks to you. I always liked this style of dress, so why not wear it now?
Yeah, you have always been more of a girly girl than me. But you do you.
Debbie and Carrie now go to the front door to ring the doorbell. And when it is answered,
Debbie and Carrie, is that really you? From the future? Yes, Mother. We are from the year 2076. I believe that back in 2021 you encountered a version of me from another reality. That version gave you a vaccine to prevent you from becoming crippled due to multiple sclerosis, and so you were able to live a full life. Now we want to do the same for James. Is he here? Yes, he is. Come inside. It is good to see you again, little brother. It's been a long time.
Considering what a pest the WNO thinks I am, I'm glad you got better.
Only because you also got better, James. Now let's give you that vaccine I brought.
Debbie and I have always wanted to make a positive difference in the lives of others. You showed us all what was possible by getting elected mayor of this town. So we can do no less than you.
Good.
At least I know I am on the right track. It is done. Let us leave now, Carrie.
Debbie and Carrie leave the house and return to the USS Sandy and then their native time.
And my arm is sore from that shot. Maybe I should take a day off.
No, you need to keep studying to pass those final exams at school so you can be ready to go off to Harvard. Now return to your bedroom and get busy again.
It is the year 2077, in the alternate timeline generated by Debbie and Carrie giving James in the year 2025 a vaccine to prevent him dying of a deadly disease in 2071.
Happy birthday, James.
It's so good to still be alive. Knowing that I could have died much earlier makes me determined to do as much good as I can. Just as our mother did before us. You know what I think we should do?
What's that?
We could go into politics and use our fame to get elected to high office, maybe even the presidency of the United States.
James, are you forgetting that we are atheists? Even now, it is unlikely that non-atheists may get elected president.
Didn't our mother get elected mayor of the town in Texas? She was an atheist, but she became popular.
Only because the town was under desperate circumstances. Ted Anderson, who was mayor before our mother, was incredibly corrupt while also claiming to represent Christian values, and that eventually led to his being discredited. There is no guarantee that we would be as successful as our mother was.
Well, if we don't at least try, the barrier we are facing may never be broken. Atheists should run for and win the presidency as much as anyone else in the United States. It's just so stupid how we had 43 white male presidents, but then we got one black man elected president and whites all over America went ballistic over it.
Actually, Barack Obama was not even black, strictly speaking. He was actually half white and was raised by his white mother and white grandparents. He did not have a typical African-American upbringing. But he still broke the color barrier. Barely.
And the bigots still got angry enough over that to support someone as horrible as Donald Trump, truly the most amoral man to ever be president. But at least he was white. And had a penis. Hillary Clinton and Kamala Harris had vaginas instead.
Right. I would like someone out there to explain to me how having a light skin color or having certain genitalia should ever determine the worthiness of one to be a leader of any kind. That's just so goddamn stupid.
Good evening, Bruce Scumbag Jr. here. For the past several years, I, like my parents before me, have been a staunch advocate for traditional American values that our ancestors took for granted. Values based on Christianity, capitalism, and limited government. But now I see liberals constantly interfering with religious leaders, ignoring the First Amendment's guarantee of freedom of religion, and interfering with business interests, threatening the prosperity of our great nation. Government must stay out of our lives. Even the Founding Fathers resented the all-powerful British government oppressing them, so why should we tolerate special interests having their way with American society now? Why should we let a few malcontents who are prone to failure in our competitive society tell the rest of us to support them? Why should we grant special rights to those whose lifestyles are an insult to faith and morals everywhere? So now, I will stand up for America by running for President of the United States. Once more, conservatives will rule America and make it a country we can be proud of again. I am indeed so thankful that the outgoing president cannot run for another term. Now, at long last, we Republicans can take back our nation.
I'm so glad to see Laura Park make such a glorious return to acting. This movie she starred in is great. Prince Dorian, your raping Princess Carla is unacceptable. She said she would not marry you, but you took her anyway, and now her father, the King of Monaco, is about to go to war with us. To prevent that, I will strip you of your royal title and send you to Monaco to stand trial.
But I am your son. I thought you would protect me.
It is precisely because you are my son that I am so outraged. I raised you to be better than this. I can choose someone else to be my successor as ruler of our kingdom. Even rulers like me should not be above the law. Guards, take the prince away.
And if he runs, hunt him down and kill him.
I hate to say it, but that movie is unrealistic. In medieval times, kings and emperors literally considered themselves above the law and did as they pleased to their subjects. Like the notorious case of King Henry VIII of England, who had 2 of his 6 wives put to death because he was unhappy with them. Last month I was reading about King David and his impregnating Bathsheba, having her husband killed and then taking the pregnant widow to be his wife. According to the Bible story, David was later punished by his newborn child becoming sick and dying. But David later had another child with Bathsheba, who later became King Solomon. Is that justice? Why punish an innocent baby instead of the king who made him by raping his mother? And why would God even allow a child by such parents to be the next king? The whole story stinks of made-up bullshit.
What do you think really happened?
I think King David just took Bathsheba and murdered her husband, and Solomon was their firstborn. There was no other child who died because of God. The only reason the Bible depicted God as disapproving of the act of rape and murder was because of the laws of the Torah, which were said to even apply to kings. But what if the Torah didn't even exist yet?
Right. Plus even the story as told just makes God look like a murderer himself, eh? Is God above his own laws, then? I'm going to remember this the next time I hear some religious bigot gripe about abortion, calling themselves pro-life. God is not pro-life, is he? He killed King David's baby. And a lot of others in a worldwide flood. And also, now what?
Debbie, this is James. Do you ever watch the Rouge Scumbag Jr. show?
No, of course not. I don't bother with any of that regressive shit.
Well, I watch him occasionally to see what right-wingers are saying. And now I just learned that he has decided to run for President of the United States.
What?
Yeah, he announced that decision on his show tonight and instantly the social media platforms are blowing up about it. Anyway, I need to have dinner with Penny. Take care.
It looks like history is going to repeat itself.
What do you mean?
Major media personality runs for the presidency, gets elected based on both name recognition and a promise to make things better for the people, then breaks all his promises and nearly sends America to hell instead. That's what happened with Donald Trump.
Yeah, but Donald Trump is dead, as are the idiots who saw fit to vote for him. So I don't think Rouge Scumbag Jr. will be as successful as Trump was.
One thing I have learned, Carrie. Never underestimate the stupidity of the average American voter. They have a terrible inability to learn from history and are awful judges of character. I just wish we could do better.
Thank you for coming so quickly. I knew this day was coming, but still.
I certainly didn't think Vicky would die so fast. Last time I saw her, it seemed her dementia wasn't so advanced.
It wasn't the dementia that killed her, but a massive stroke that destroyed most of her brain stem, which controlled most of her vital functions. So she died instantly. People call the brain stem primitive and think the cerebrum is superior, but in fact we cannot survive without a fully intact brain stem.
So all parts of the brain, and perhaps the body as a whole, must be treated as equal. That's a powerful metaphor. Paul has already planned Vicky's funeral for next week. It will be at the Smith-Wilson mansion. And she will be buried in the mansion's backyard, next to the graves of Rose Owen and Jennifer Wilson.
Very well, I will join you there.
Welcome, everyone, to this service as we celebrate the life and memory of my beloved sister, Vicky Sims. When she first came into my life, I only knew her as a survivor of horrible abuse at the hands of her birth mother, so I worried that she might have an attitude of hatred and bitterness towards me and others who were better off than her. But she turned out to be one of the most loving and strong people ever, even better in some ways than me.
Carrie, are you alright?
Oh, you startled me. But yeah, I'm fine. I was just thinking of Debbie. Well, actually, I told her she should stay behind with Richard and Annika, but now that I am apart from her, my heart feels so empty. I used to take pride in being a strong person, but now I feel so weak.
You are not weak at all, Carrie. But no matter how strong we are as individuals, we are even stronger when we are with others we love. That's what I learned the last time I was in Boston and was separated from Paul. I had to be strong without him, and that made things better for him and me when we finally reunited. Paul completes me just as Debbie completes you. You also need to be strong even while apart from Debbie, so that when you return to her, you and she can be even stronger together.
Thanks. That's good advice. She was exactly the sort of sister I always needed to enrich my life.
So you are my first granddaughter? I'm guessing that Jessica was the one who gave birth to you and Lucy gave birth to Vicky?
That's only half right. I was born into this family, but Vicky was adopted. Genetically, Vicky and I are completely unrelated, but in our hearts, we are sisters.
And what about your wife, who is having your first child? What does she look like?
What's wrong?
Well, neither of you are black, so I assume the child will also be white?
No. Debbie and I made sure we'd use a black sperm donor to get Debbie pregnant. We planned from the start for our baby to be biracial. But you know what? It really shouldn't matter if the child is completely white. He will still be family, just as I am. Jessica and Lucy are both my mothers. And I love them both equally. And that's also true of me, Mr. Gordon. Jessica and Lucy are both my mothers too. Carrie is my sister. I am proud to be a member of the Sims family. They mean the world to me.
Even in the face of circumstances that might have overwhelmed others, Vicky stood firm and insisted we do what we could to help, no matter what. Oh my God. We fled one disaster only to find ourselves in the middle of another one.
Sucks to be us, I guess. Let's start picking things up around here. This is so unfair. Now everyone's vacation is ruined. We are lucky. None of us here have been injured. Think about the people in both Hawaii and this city that may have been hurt or even killed because of these disasters. Remember when our town got hit by those tornadoes and flooding and how we all pulled together to help the town recover? Why not do that here? Excuse me.
Hello? This is Vicky Mary Jones. Are you all right, Vicky Sims?
Yes, all of us at Laura's mansion have been accounted for and no one is hurt. Her place just got some damage, but we are dealing with it. How are you?
Fortunately, Patagonia City was some distance from the center of Los Angeles, so we suffered no serious damage. But the reports from where you were saddened me. So I decided to dress up as the Blazing Beauty and go to a hospital to see if I can help comfort any children there. Would you like to join me?
Absolutely. That would be an honor. Wow. Are you really the Blazing Beauty?
I'm as real as you need me to be, honey. And I can assure you, the doctors are doing everything they can for your family. You are safe here. You were right, Vicky. The disruptions of our vacations were a mere inconvenience for us. It's the people that live here and were actually hurt that matter. So many homes destroyed. So many businesses disrupted. Those are the bigger issues.
We just do what we can, when we can, for whoever we can. Now let's go see if we can help a few patients here.
So the best way to honor her and show how her life was so meaningful is to be like her. To always fight for what's right, period. Amen.
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 And so Vicky Sims is laid to rest. And a couple of hours later.
You know what, James? I think I will go ahead and run for president to try to stop Rush Scumbaugh Jr. from gaining that office. Even if I don't win the Democrats' nomination, let alone the presidency, my candidacy can be used to bring up all sorts of issues even most Democrats are too afraid to touch. It will force the party as a whole to either address them, or prove unworthy of the people's trust in the future.
Good. Because if you were not going to run, I would. In any case, I will be one of your many political advisors. I know exactly how to debunk the right-wing talking points RSJ and other Republicans are notorious for.
RSJ?
Sorry, that's short for Rush Scumbag Jr. like FDR, JFK and LBJ. You know, for people who get tired of saying longer names.
2 weeks after deciding to run for president, Debbie and Carrie have left Dallas to move back to the Smith-Wilson mansion in the town they spent their teen years in. They are now living with James and Penny, and are also joined by others who want to help her.
So how do you want to go about this? You know that most Republicans and even some Democrats will be so opposed to you that they could eat you alive.
You can't make positive change in a society without pissing off the ruling class who benefit from the status quo. Look at what my mother did when she ran for mayor of this town.
Good point. She also ran for Texas state senator. She did not win, but she did see her main rival defeated and sent to prison.
Debbie, Carrie and I have come up with possible campaign slogans. Check them out.
America for all. We remember.
I like those. We certainly need to be as inclusive as possible to attract all sorts of voters.
Yeah, and we also need to be reminded of the mistakes of the past, instead of allowing ourselves to repeat them. Memories of events about 50 years ago have faded and a new generation has arisen only knowing people like Donald Trump and others like him as historical figures. And the media doesn't talk much about the damage those idiots did back then.
So let's remind them that and all the good Democrats did leading America during the Great Depression and then World War II.
The same sort of Democrats who supported racist policies in the South for over a century. I don't think so. I really have never trusted either party to serve the people. They make moderate reforms to satisfy their base for a few years, but nothing ever really gets better in the long run. Racists and other bigots still have power, even now.
Debbie, I am increasingly convinced that we need socialized medicine, in which the government runs the hospitals instead of private business interests. I remember Dr. Drake telling me all about how the hospital in our town was run under Leonard Wilson. He made a vast fortune off the suffering of the town's people, especially after he had the town's water supply ruined by sabotaging its sewage treatment system. That brought the hospital a lot more business, but at a cost, to both its patients and its staff, including Dr. Drake himself.
I will absolutely add the need for socialized medicine to my platform.
We should also push for socializing health insurance. And indeed, all forms of insurance. The state of Texas makes having auto insurance mandatory, which benefits private owners of such insurance companies. The state is already interfering with free choice of the consumer in that case. It might as well run the insurance policies altogether. Note, in another timeline, Debbie, Carrie, Laura Park and Suzanne Hudson joined forces in the year 2028 to create America for All, an internet news network. Now is this timeline, they do that in the year 2078.
If we are going to stop RSJ, we need to beat him at his game, to make more honest news broadcasts which promote social justice for all instead of selling out to corporate interests. That's why we ordered the construction of this stage in the Smith-Wilson mansion.
I can't wait to get started. Whitney Owen, are you ready?
Yes. Debbie, take your place now. Laura, we are ready to proceed.
Good. I and Suzanne will take our places at our own studio in Los Angeles.
Greetings. I am Debbie Smith and I welcome you to the first test broadcast of the America for All News Network, where we tell the news like it is and use the reports to promote not only the absolute truth, but also the highest standards of justice for all. We will not be content to merely report what is happening, but we will make efforts to connect present-day events to those that happened decades ago and connect what is happening in America to what is happening in other parts of the world. Because, in fact, the world is a single entity, and we have a responsibility to remember the past, look at the rest of the world, and seek a better future for everyone. So let us begin. I will focus mostly on present-day events in America.
I, Carrie Sims, will provide commentary on historical events that we think are relevant to today's news events. Debbie and I will work in our town in East Texas and will be broadcasting on Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays.
Meanwhile, Laura Park and I, Suzanne Hudson, will be discussing reports on events around the world that may relate to events in America now. And of course, we will also give references to historical matters relating to those events too. We will be broadcasting on Tuesdays, Thursdays, and Saturdays.
My fellow white and male Americans, we have been oppressed and scorned by a woman of color for too long. But soon she will leave office, as required by the U.S. Constitution. You have my word that if I am elected, I will completely undo everything that leftists did and make this country safe for us again. Who is with me now? About a week after the America for All News Network begins appearing on its own YouTube channel, the leaders of it hire their first new employee, Jason Laker.
Thank you for offering to join us, Jason.
No problem. Since I have far more experience with newscasting than the rest of you, I can help make your episodes even more appealing to watch. In any case, it is so good to come out of retirement and not have to answer any more to profit-obsessed corporations and their owners. As news people, we should be reporting the facts, not seeking to make money by appealing to popular tastes.
Exactly. So you will take my place at the anchor giving reports about current American events. That will free me to travel around to promote my presidential campaign. It's Laura.
Debbie, I have contacted dozens of nonprofit groups and religious groups involved in promoting civil rights, including, of course, the Unitarian Universalist Association. Many of them have agreed to providing funding for us to maintain our network in exchange for us advertising on our episodes.
Good. Send me a list of those groups that will be our sponsors. We have to make sure all of them are trustworthy.
I already sent you the list.
Look at all these different logos, Carrie. Laura did a great job using her celebrity status to sell our new network to sponsors.
The Sierra Club, the National Association for the Advancement of Colored People, NAACP, Amnesty International, the Unitarian Universalist Association, the Unitarian Universalist Service Committee, Planned Parenthood, the American Civil Liberties Union, Doctors Without Borders, the National Organization for Women.
Amazing. So many iconic groups. Yes. And we will be their voice.
With Jason Laker taking over as the main newscaster for America for All at the Texas town, Debbie prepares to launch her presidential campaign before the public.
Debbie, I am a member of the Association of LGBT Actors, a support group based here in Los Angeles. In fact, I was recently elected to its board of directors. We will be having a meeting next week, so I invite you to come here and join us to announce to them you're running for president.
Great. I will be there. Do you want me to come with you? No, I think I can handle this on my own. You work with Jason to make more news reports for next week. He and I will be doing a show together tonight, of course.
Good evening, and welcome to the America for All News Network, with podcasts that tells the news like it really is. The United Farm Workers has filed a lawsuit against the federal government of the United States and the states of California, Texas, New Mexico, and Arizona for agreeing to a deal on which Mexico supplies farm workers to aid American farms, claiming such a move undermines the UFW's own collective bargaining efforts. Which makes me wonder, why not just invite Mexican farm workers to join the union and maybe even open chapters of the UFW in Mexico itself? Indeed, farm workers in many different countries must have the same concerns, so keeping the UFW a strictly American labor union seems pointless. A mysterious woman in Northern California is claiming to be a maid of heaven and has already gathered a following of at least a dozen young men and boys. But ironically, no other women or girls are allowed to join this new cult. Go figure. Speaking of cults, Reverend Maggie Smith, who was minister of the largest church in the town in East Texas, was fired this past week for her opposition to the church rejoining the Southern Baptist Convention after the Progressive Baptists of the South, PBS, filed for bankruptcy. And why did the PBS go broke? Because its own president embezzled millions of dollars from the denomination and used the money to buy himself a mansion in Las Vegas. The conservative Baptist faction that ousted Reverend Smith claimed the actions of the PBS president show what happens when biblical values are abandoned. How little those people seem to know of their own history.
What that Baptist president did was reprehensible, but haven't such things happened in more conservative denominations? You find hypocrisy in all sorts of religious groups.
Definitely. Those conservatives are not fighting corruption, they are just looking to take back control to benefit only themselves, which itself may breed corruption. I mean, we are not even Christians at all, but we are as ethical as we can be. We believe in reality, and reality alone gives us many reasons to resist, expose and stop corruption.
As Debbie prepares to leave for California, Jason Laker goes to interview Reverend Maggie Smith, no relation to Debbie Smith, and is accompanied by Carrie, James, and Whitney Owen. They agree to meet at the Tuscany Tavern, where they are joined by Bella and Eric Sterling. I learned about you being fired from a post you made on Facebook. Can you tell us what happened and why?
When Vicky Sims retired, I took her place as minister of the church. The church's membership had been declining for many years, and some argued that only by reclaiming our Baptist heritage could it grow again. So I was hired because I identified as a Baptist. A few years before that, the Southern Baptist Convention split, with a minority faction naming itself the Progressive Baptists of the South. They were explicitly pro-LGBT, just as I was, so I pushed for our church to join the PBS. But that alienated about 20% of the congregation that were more liberal than me, and so they left to form a small Unitarian Universalist group of their own. A group that my husband Charlie and I are leaders of. Right. Soon after the hardcore UUs left, another faction, more conservative than the one I belonged to, rose up and demanded we become Southern Baptists again. I opposed this, and so the conservatives made a motion to fire me. And that motion was passed by one vote. Then the faction that sided with me split, leaving only about 30 elderly conservatives in charge. So now the unity of the congregation has been completely shattered. You never should have made the church leave the UU, Maggie. You could have been a perfectly good Christian among UUs, but no. You wanted a church based firmly on biblical teachings, ignoring the fact that there are different ways to interpret the Bible, resulting in the split that has now kicked you out. It is better to have a religion not based on biblical teachings at all.
I remember my mother telling me about how her own readings of the Bible as a teen were enough to make her atheist. So how could you think that making the Bible the standard for your church again would help make it and its members better? By lying to them about it?
Clearly, I was blinded by my own idealism. I was trying to save the church, and instead I destroyed it.
Eric and I were raised Catholic, and one of the things we were taught as children was that the Bible is the product of the church, therefore the Bible cannot be the only source of Christian dogmas. The church itself must be the ultimate source. Protestants seem to believe the opposite, that the church is a product of the Bible.
Which is absurd, since the church was founded by Jesus and his apostles in the 1st century AD and the canon of the Bible was not established until around 400 AD.
I never thought I'd hear a credible argument for Catholic teachings, but you just gave one. So are you saying I should become Catholic?
Nope. Bella and I discussed that issue long ago. We were actually convinced to leave the Catholic Church by Bella's best friend Penny, who had also been raised Catholic.
Penny, why have you asked us all to meet with you here in this room? You remember when you told me about your being raped when you were very little by your birth mother's boyfriends and clients? Well, I was myself sexually assaulted by a classmate a few years ago. And Bella, you told me about how the uncle of Eric tried to rape you in his cave in Kansas. Yes. But Eric and I fought him off and escaped. Well, imagine if all three of us had been raped or assaulted by a priest. I was raised Catholic,
but I have read stories about children being molested by priests, and what was most shocking was that often the Catholic Church would do nothing to stop those pedophiles, instead moving them from one parish to another to enable them to assault more victims. And you can't dismiss this matter as just a few bad apples. I once read that if you have one bad cop surrounded by 10 other cops who don't reject their fellow cop, you really have 11 bad cops. And based on that argument, I have decided to resign from being Catholic as soon as I turn 18. I can't stay in the church, I won't marry in it, and I certainly won't raise my children in it. I won't risk them being sexually abused.
I'm sorry, Bella, but I think Penny is right. The more I think about it, the more I want our kids to be raised in a different religion. There's just something about the very structure of the church that always bothered me, and it's this. How can an institution run by men that are supposed to be celibate supposed to tell married couples like us about being faithful to each other? As an auto mechanic, I wouldn't listen to someone who has never even driven a car, let alone work to repair one.
So you want us both to leave the church too?
Yes, I think that would be best.
As an atheist, I see the downfall of the church as a good thing. I remember all too well how corrupt it was under Reverend Dave Owen, and even if the conservatives succeed in hiring a Southern Baptist minister to replace you, Maggie, it's a safe bet that it will never be the religious powerhouse it once was. Debbie and I started out in 2021 as junior members of a small Unitarian Universalist fellowship founded by our mothers. And we can join with such a fellowship once again.
Debbie has arrived in California and soon is taken by Laura Park and Suzanne Hudson to the monthly meeting of the Association of LGBT Actors. But then...
Where is Laura? I thought she would be sitting with us. Actually, there has been a change in plans. Look, there she is now. Thank you. I am so happy to have just been elected the president of this group. But that's not my main focus today. I am here to endorse the campaign of someone who wants to be the next president of the United States. Please welcome, one and all, the Nobel Peace Prize winner herself, Debbie Smith. What are you waiting for? Get up there and try to win their support. Tell them what you stand for. Hello, everyone. Debbie Smith here. And I am here to announce that I will be running this year for President of the United States. For far too long, right-wing bigots, claiming to represent traditional American values while actually making a mockery of the actual principles of the U.S. Constitution, have promoted themselves with a sense of entitlement, seeking power to benefit only themselves and looking down on so many of us as lesser people. I say it is time, once and for all, to end that nonsense for good. We need to learn from our own history as well as that of other nations around the world so we do not sell out our democracy again like we did over 50 years ago. If you elect me, I promise to fight for the rights and dignity of all Americans. The way to make America truly great is for us as a people to all be great together. Let it be so.
I don't understand how, after being exposed to the free-thinking atmosphere of Unitarian Universalism, anyone would want to revert to the cult-like nature of the Southern Baptist Convention. It's so stupid.
Obviously, because you are a woman, and LGBT and raised in an atheist family. I am male, straight and was raised Baptist. As I understand it, there were a lot of others like me who felt they were being excluded by the changes to the church after it became Unitarian Universalist. The church was no longer white-centered and no longer defined family life the way it was depicted in the Bible with parents of opposite sexes and their children. People caused the church to leave the Southern Baptist Convention and become UUNCIT because Reverend Dave Owen was so abusive and bigoted. He was a main pillar in this town that enabled so much of its corruption as caused by Mayor Ted Anderson and hospital owner Leonard Wilson. But memories of that time have faded and a new generation has grown up knowing nothing of that time. And even the older ones that do remember only think of what they see as the good things about being Southern Baptist.
Good for them as white straight men, not women, people of color, or LGBT people.
Well, I am also white. Does my being white mean I should ever be racist? No, because that would make me an asshole. So is a gay white man who is racist or a sexist. So is a straight black man who is homophobic or sexist. So is a black woman who is cisgendered but is transphobic. You make room for any form of bigotry, you enable all forms of bigotry, period.
Good evening, and welcome to America for All, the internet-based news podcast that tells the truth, the whole truth and only the truth about America and the world. Today, the President of the United States met President Nicholas of the Sabari Planetary Republic at the White House to discuss a trade deal. The United Nations has authorized our president to act on behalf of all humanity for these negotiations. Oddly enough, the Sabari planetary system does not have an asteroid belt like ours does, and the Sabari want mining rights to our system's asteroid belt. It is our hope that such a deal will make both our planet's economies stronger. We will pay your world over 20 billion credits a year as part of the deal.
And the money you send us will be donated directly to the United Nations to fund its various social and economic welfare projects in poorer parts of the world.
But Rush Scumba Jr., who is running for president this year, denounced the deal as dangerous. We shouldn't allow those aliens anywhere near our system, let alone mining resources from our asteroid belt. And giving money to the United Nations is ridiculous. We don't need that monstrosity. It has the potential to become a world government to oppress us all, much like the Sabari planetary government itself does its people. As president, I will cut off any relations with such aliens and keep Earth isolated. Humans for humanity and no one else.
Tell us you were racist without actually saying the word racist, you clown.
Hey, don't be so insulting to clowns. But I do see that as a good campaign slogan for you. So often right-wing bigots paint migrants who come to work in America as a drain on America's resources. They work here, yet as undocumented non-citizens, they can't collect Social Security payments or any other form of welfare from the federal or state governments, so how are they draining us?
Indeed, such migrants actually contribute so much to farms and other businesses with low-paying jobs, but get so little in return. Almost like the slaves that were made to work on southern plantations before the American Civil War, eh? Cut. Good job, all of you.
Conservatives love to talk about national sovereignty as if it is always a good thing, but is it? Consider the issue of Brexit, in which the United Kingdom, despite being a founding member of the European Union, left it in 2020. Once it did that, it found itself being treated just like all others that were not part of the EU. The result was the British economy spiraling down into a massive recession that it took decades to recover from. The whole point of the EU was to make the economies of its members stronger through mutual cooperation within Europe itself. Instead of, conquering other places around the world to build colonial empires. And keep in mind that the UK is itself made of several states. Why should Scotland, Wales, and Northern Ireland stay in that union if they decide not to submit anymore to the central government and monarchy based in London? Same difference. Debbie, what do you think of that?
Of what value is state or national sovereignty if the government in question oppresses any of the people under it? States should not be free to pass any laws or enforce any policies whatsoever to discriminate or persecute any minorities. States' rights are and should always be a non-issue, period. Only human rights should ever matter.
As word spreads about Debbie's new presidential campaign, she responds to the growing public interest by creating a new website, www.debbiesmithforpresident.com.
All right, the website is up and running. Look at it. That's a good start. What are all those videos attached to it? Back in the 2020s, Dale husband interviewed me, Carrie, James, and our mothers. He took the stories he got from us and made videos about them. I now own his old YouTube channel, and all its content, most of which he made using Plotagon.
And I've been using that same app to make many, many more about us and our relatives. Up to and including our involvement in the Sabari Civil War. I will use those videos as part of my campaign. You have been doing this all this time? Such dedication. There are hundreds of such videos. Yes. My life, Carrie's, and others we know are full of such dramatic stories. Okay, so there are about a dozen other Debbie Smiths in the world. Do you have a middle name? Actually, no, I don't. But I will make sure I am the most famous Debbie Smith there is.
Whitney Owen then leaves, and Debbie proceeds to record a message for her fans and supporters to be uploaded to her campaign website.
I am Debbie Smith, resident of a small town in East Texas. I am an American, a white person, and a woman. I am a billionaire, a lesbian, and an atheist. I am a retired model, a mother, and a grandmother. And I will bring all those different parts of myself to my presidency. Just as I want to be treated with respect as a lesbian, I will also fight for the rights of transgender people. Just as I want to be accepted as an atheist, I will fight for the rights of Jews, Christians, Muslims, Buddhists, Hindus, and pagans. My having white privilege means I can help blacks, Hispanics and other racial groups be more successful in life by my seeing them as just as human as myself. As a woman, I stand against men who want to treat women as mere servants to them. I believe in the concept of America for all, and so I will fight for the rights of all marginalized people, until we are truly all one society.
Debbie then make a link on her website to a video on Dale Husband's old YouTube channel, titled Sandy's War on Corruption.
I'm going to run for mayor of the town. The mayor's election is in 8 months, so we can start a campaign next week and hope we can make some changes. This town badly needs them. Sandy has already appointed me to be her campaign manager. We just need a platform.
Why not just run as a Democrat? That seems obvious.
People will be expecting Mother Sandy to speak on issues specific to this town. Merely having a party label is not enough. My biggest issue will be to stamp out corruption and abuse in the town's government. We need to make sure all citizens of the town are treated as equals, no matter their background, their appearance, or their beliefs. That's the whole idea behind the Declaration of Independence and the U.S. Constitution.
Well, you have my vote already, Mrs. Smith. I would love to see you at the next mayor.
Ever since Mayor Anderson took office, he has cut sales taxes in the town to make it more business-friendly, but those tax cuts have come at a cost. Increasing numbers of potholes have appeared in roads in and around the town, and these can cause damage to cars, including flat tires. And replacing tires costs money, so if you need new tires every few months, that means you are not saving that much money due to lower taxes.
You are right. At the auto shop I work at, my boss told me that requests for new tires there have gone up tenfold every month compared to a decade ago. He himself needed a new tire about 5 months ago after he ran over a pothole, which had bits of glass in it. I had a patient last month who complained about getting whiplash from hitting potholes.
I grew up in this town, and as a child I saw almost no potholes on the roads. Now they are everywhere.
But I am even more concerned about the town's water supply. I can't stand the taste of the tap water anymore. It tastes and smells like it is polluted. I have to drink bottled water, which costs me more money. If that's true of me, it must be true of most others.
Oh, shit. We have been using tap water to wash the dishes at my restaurant and even at my home. Could we be endangering our customers as well as ourselves?
Well, obviously, people getting sick from improperly treated water would cause healthcare costs to skyrocket and make my job a lot harder. I had to resign as president of my local church because I no longer had free time to serve that position. Instead, I've been working 6 or even 7 days a week lately dealing with sick patients from drinking tap water, including people who can't even afford bottled water, but they get sick and then they must get treatment at my hospital, which bankrupts them completely. Then they yell at me for charging them money they do not have. But the hospital has to make money too.
And Mayor Anderson never addresses these issues. He just ignores them. As long as the businesses are making plenty of money,
He does not care. But this town is made of people, and the people's welfare is what matters, not just a few business owners making more money than in the past.
Mayor Anderson's biggest supporters are gun owners. At the last election, he blasted his opponent for supporting gun control, claiming this was against the Second Amendment. That's why he won. No one wants to elect someone who might take away our right to bear arms. It is clearly stated in the Constitution.
My husband Steve and I had a long talk about that issue after we got married. He is himself a gun owner, and like many others mistakenly thought gun control was the same as gun confiscation. I explained to him that a peaceful, law-abiding citizen never has anything to fear from legitimate gun control. I mean, we already have car control in Texas, where people must have a license issued by the state to drive a car, and must also have auto insurance. Gun control would be much the same, but no one screams about the people needing a right to drive cars. My mother was always my greatest inspiration, so I will do for America what she did for this town 50 years ago. At least that is my hope.
As word spreads through social media about Debbie's campaign, she begins receiving donations to support it.
Wow. Over $2 million collected already.
Soon, Debbie will be able to afford her own trips across the country, without having to rely on Suzanne for support.
Arthur, I only chose my current vice president because he was a more conservative man, and I needed the support of people like him to win the election over 3 years ago. When I had a hardcore liberal and another woman as my running mate nearly 12 years ago, I won that first election, only to be voted out 4 years later when the economy went bad, for which I was blamed. But then I fought back and won my second term after my libertarian successor was found to be a racist.
Making you the third president to win 2 non-consecutive terms.
Exactly. But I am tired of me and others having to compromise ourselves just to get things done around here. And after this term, I want someone who will come after me that will be stronger in dealing with the Republicans, Libertarians, and others on the far right. And I think Debbie Smith is just the person we Democrats need to win. So now, I want you to meet with her and tell her I will offer her my support.
And what about Vice President Scoob? He is running for the nomination too.
Yes, and I want him to lose. As far as I am concerned, he is too cozy with the Republicans. I want my successor to bust their asses on a regular basis, just as I have been doing.
The president has good reason to be wary of her own vice president. So that is my offer, Mr. Scoob. If I am elected president, I will appoint you to be my Secretary of State, even if we run against each other in the general election.
Likewise, if I am elected, I will appoint you to that same position. That way, we both get the sort of high positions we want. Whoever wins, America will be united by both of us. We just have to make sure that extremist Debbie Smith loses. She will make America a socialist cesspool.
That's right. She is 10 times worse than the current president, who I already can't stand. We must stop her.